this video, I'm going to give two examples of how to repair minor damage to plaster or drywall. Before we can fill this, we need to make the holes slightly larger, and so I am cutting away any loose material using a sharp knife. There is also some more damage below that requires enlarging before it can be filled. I have now mixed up some Gyprock Easy Fill, and I'm using a filling knife to fill the two holes. You can use whichever filler you find works best. The larger of the two holes is a bit too large to be filled in one go, and so I'm filling some more damage on the same wall, and we'll return to that to give it a final fill in a few minutes. Here I am the next day giving the damage a light sanding. You don't have to wait until the next day, just ensure that the filler is fully dry before sanding it. Once it has been sanded, give it a wipe with a damp sponge to remove any dust. In the second example, there is slightly more damage to a plaster wall this time. Fixing this really is easy. Never be afraid of filling any holes. As long as you use the correct filler and technique, it really is a piece of cake. Again, I am cutting away any loose material using a sharp knife. You can use a chisel or a tough scraper if you like. You can see that I'm catching the plaster debris using the dustpan. In hot weather, it's a good idea to spray the patch using some cold clean water, as that will help to prevent the filler from drying out too quickly. I'm now applying the filler, but this time, because the hole is so deep, it will have to be filled in two goes. You can see that the Gyprock Easy Fill is pretty resistant to slumping, but it's best to fill this in two goes. After 30 minutes or so, I'm now applying more filler to get the filler flush with or just proud of the existing surface. It's better to apply too much filler rather than not enough, as the Easy Fill is very easy to sand flat. Now the filler is dried, I'm giving it a light sanding. I'm now just removing any dust from the area using a damp sponge. It's now time to start priming the areas. You can use a primer for doing this, such as Zinda 123, or you can use a diluted coat of non-vinyl emulsion paint. In this demonstration, I'm using Dulux Supermatte, which has been diluted with 20% cold clean water. You can see that I'm mixing this using a mixer paddle and drill. When applying the paint, it's important to feather out the paint. You do not just want to brush it on, as this makes it almost impossible to hide the damage when it's being painted over with the top coat. By feathering out the paint, it makes it much easier to cover the area with the top coat of paint later. To feather out the paint, just apply a little to the brush and apply it to the damaged area. It will start to soak in the filled area immediately. Now brush the paint out in all directions as much as possible until the paint will spread no further. This will put a really thin coat of paint in that area, which is much easier to cover over with a top coat of paint at a later date. Once the paint is dry, you can then paint the whole wall using the paint of your choice. Once the top coat of paint is dry, you will never know that the wall had been damaged previously. I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and if you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel.